This is Evening News for Wednesday, January 8, 2014. I'm Samuel Sugnandan. Thanks for joining us. Making the headlines tonight. The government will not negotiate on U.S. democracy project. Deborah Barker flown to the United States for treatment. Erlin proposes plan to address solid waste management. Raids for smuggled goods and illegal connection carried out. And CCAC overwhelmed with several consumer complaints. And now for the news in detail. Head of the Presidential Secretariat, Dr. Roger Luncheon, says government will not negotiate or have discussions with the government of the United States of America under duress and while the rejected USAID Leadership and Democracy project is being implemented. Luncheon made the statement today while confirming that Ghana has received what appeared to be a less than favorable response from the U.S. government to its queries about the project.
Dr. Luncheon, if the U.S. government decides to, the embassy or the government decides to go ahead with the project, will you negotiate at the same time?
No, we cannot. I said that. That's the point I'm talking about, negotiating on the jurors. How could one conceivably be negotiating the project, dealing with our concerns, but the very same thing you're negotiating is being implemented?
Has the U.S. government said that they will not go ahead with the project?
We haven't reached out to them.
But did they say that in their response to you?
No,
that they will not go ahead?
No, they have not said that. They have not said that they have taken the government's concerns into consideration, and they either have abandoned or put on. Have said nothing to that effect.
So implied, what does that mean? That they will go ahead in your estimation?
I can't believe that there are a lot of room for another possible explanation. If they didn't say so, it's so.
He did say that there was a need to find an amicable solution to the matter.
We need to discuss this, the two sides. We need to discuss this. I, for one, and I think most of my colleagues feel that this is not an insurmountable matter, problem, to be resolved, but there are principled ways to address this issue.
The government had warned that there could be serious repercussions over the U.S. government's insistence in carrying out the USAID project here, which the Donald Ramotar administration has rejected. The government had also written the U.S. ambassador to Ghana, D. Brent Hart, on comments he made in an exclusive interview with the Stabroek News recently, insisting that the project would go ahead with or without the Ghana government's support. President of the Georgetown Chamber of Commerce and Industry, GCCI, Clinton Erlin, says Ghana needs a holistically integrated management plan to address the solid waste problem across the country. Here are the details in this report.
The GCCI president is proposing a three-step process which starts from waste generation and storage, moves to safe collection, and culminates in environmentally responsible final disposal. Erling said Ghana will not get anywhere in the long term if all three components in achieving an effective solid waste management system are not taken into consideration. He said that at operational levels of waste generation and storage, there are many initiatives that could be pursued. These include awareness programs emphasizing the importance of reducing waste and using environmentally responsible storage methods, the sorting or source segregation of waste, initiatives encouraging household composting, and the provision of large public waste receptacles. Use of appropriate collection equipment, outsourcing to private enterprises, the provision of incentive or market-based schemes for collectors of recyclable materials. Erling says Guyana needs a technologically updated recycling plant, proper landfill and dump site management sites across the country, tipping fees to ensure sustainability of landfills, and landfill composting facilities. However, for this three-step process to work, the GCCI president said it must rest on a foundation where appropriate laws are adopted upon the principle of zero tolerance for irresponsible solid waste disposal. Likewise, efforts must engage participation of citizens and residents through community programs and awareness campaigns involving schools, NGOs, citizens groups, municipal authorities, local businesses, and other entities. Arling said that local government reform and regularly held elections also are critical components as they ensure accountability from municipal authorities. For the Evening News, Natasha Aziz.
ALIEN, a Partnership for National Unity parliamentarian and Deputy Speaker Deborah Backer was on Wednesday flown to the United States to undergo treatment. More in this report.
This newscast understands that Deborah Backer will undergo the treatment at a hospital in Florida in the United States of America. Leader of APNU David Granger had said previously that Backer's condition was stable. At the time, he did not divulge details about her illness, stating that he does not want to speculate on her medical condition. He wished her a speedy recovery, noting that he hopes she gets well and can return upon the resumption of the National Assembly on January 16. When questioned about whether the party will contemplate replacing her, as was the case earlier this year with member Richard Allen, Granger said the two situations cannot be compared. Granger said that Allen fell during the budget debate and there were some critical actions which had to be taken together with the Alliance for Change at the time. He stated that the budget scenario is quite different to what is taking place now. The opposition leader had said that the situations are different and there is no reason for persons to speculate on her attendance. Backer reportedly fell ill a few weeks ago and was initially being treated at a private city hospital. Efforts to contact her family have been unsuccessful thus far. The parliamentarian has been absent for the last two sittings of the National Assembly, which has caused the combined opposition to lose its one-seat majority. For the Evening News, Natasha Aziz.
Wendell Austin, a 20-year-old mason of Canterbury Walk, Bedford-Waggaton, East Coast, Demerara, appeared in the Georgetown Magistrates Court today before Chief Magistrate Priyasur Narayan Bahari, charged with robbery. Austin pleaded not guilty to the charge, which alleged that while in the company of others on January 4 at London Street, Georgetown, he robbed Kishan Prasad of items valued $216,000, including a laptop, a BlackBerry cell phone and jewelry. Reports are that on the set day, the victim was making his way to the Linden Bus Park via London Street when the accused and two other persons approached him. One of them proceeded to hold a knife to his neck, while the other person relieved him of his valuables. The men then made good their escape. A report was subsequently made to the police station and investigations led to the subsequent arrest of Austin, who was identified by the victim. Austin was remanded and is to return to court on January 24. The Ghana Power and Light Inc. says that it will be commencing regular maintenance on its Wärtsilä units. Anarakan reports.
GPL in a release today said that during 2014, major overhauls are scheduled on 11 of the 13 Wärtsilä operated and maintained units, with 7 of these overhauls being due by the end of July 2014. This will coincide with the commissioning of the new generation facility at Vredenhoek. The power company noted that the overhauls are performed in keeping with manufacturers' recommendations and are expected to last for 10 days each. According to the statement, they also form part of GPL's rigid maintenance program aimed at ensuring efficient and reliable power generation. Overhauls are usually executed to ensure all engines are in proper working condition to facilitate a reliable supply of electricity to customers and to mitigate any potential risk or risks that might result from lack of maintenance. GPL said all customers can be assured that the company will continue to maintain all of its generating engines across the country to make certain their continued reliability to supply quality electricity. Anarakan reporting for the Evening News.
Join us after these messages for more of the Evening News. Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the Evening News. Several business places on Orange Walk border Georgetown were raided on Tuesday during a joint exercise by the Ghana Revenue Authority, the Ghana Power and Light Inc. and the police. The raids were carried out at around 15 hours on 3 business places, one of them being the popular lineman spot Sweet Point. An eyewitness at Sweet Point said ranks went into the business place without a warrant and seized all the alcohol. The eyewitness said even consumers were searched. When asked for a reason for the crackdown, the sister of the proprietor said she is at a loss. Persons at the scene were heard saying that the search was an act of jealousy, stating that Sweet Point is a flourishing business and persons do not want to see the owners prosper. The 3 business owners were escorted to the Brickdam police station. In an invited comment, GRA Commissioner General Khurshid Sattar said the search was just a routine exercise, noting that it's something that we do every day. Sattar said raids are conducted whenever the GRA gets a tip-off about business places or persons having uncustoms goods in their possession. The GRA head added that the raids are not meant to drive fear into the Guyanese people, but to check to see if business persons are selling illegal goods. The Competition and Consumer Affairs Commission, CCAC, says it continues to receive numerous complaints and is working hard to address these issues. More in this report. CCAC Legal Officer Alicia Primo said the Commission has received several complaints in 2013 and continues to receive more daily, but is working to educate businesses on the Consumer Affairs Act of 2011. Primo told this newscast today that the law applies to all businesses in Guyana and serious action will be taken against those who are not in compliance with the law.
Right now we're in the process of doing a general counting up on that, so I don't have that figure at the moment. But we had an overwhelming amount with the consumer unit, of course, since everybody is a consumer and everybody would have bought some product that they may not be satisfied with and would want to return it and may have encountered some sort of difficulty with the store. So we have an overwhelming amount with the consumer unit.
While the CCAC has been able to resolve a few cases, there are still a few that is left outstanding, with at least one business that will be taken to court shortly. Meanwhile, in explaining the details of the Consumer Affairs Act, Primo said that businesses can ask the customer to pay a restocking fee, but not exceeding 10% of the total cost.
I know some businesses may want, say, 15% have it on their receipt, but that's against the law. And if we find them to be abusing the law and restocking fee by charging 15%, we can bring a case against them for committing an offense under the Act.
The CCAC has intensified its consumer affairs campaign over the last few months with the aim of educating businesses countrywide on the Consumer Affairs Act. The Commission said it would welcome consumers' reviews and comments and remained willing to entertain complaints whereby stores are in breach of the law. While the Commission has a small staff complement, the team has been working not only to educate consumers about the new policies the Act speaks about, but to ensure that business owners are made aware of their shortcomings and correct them forthwith. Persons wishing to make a complaint can do so by contacting the CCAC on telephone number 219-4411. For the Evening News, I'm Samuel Suknandon. Natasha Aziz joins us to report that despite the recent snowstorm which shut down area airports and crippled air travel across the United States, TravelSpan successfully airlifted hundreds of passengers from New York's John F. Kennedy Airport to Ghana's Chedijagan International Airport from December 14, ending the monopoly and high airfares of other carriers. More details in this story.
Using the 767-200 series aircraft operated by Dynamic Airways, TravelSpan was able to leave New York ahead of the storm on January 2, 2014, amid criticism from the horde of expatriates who blasted management for not informing them ahead of time to catch the outbound flight, which was rescheduled from 15 hours to midnight. Many travelers who had trekked from across Guyana to catch the return flight to New York were turned away at the airport and told to return at 19 hours, leaving them stranded at the airport with no access to a phone to call relatives to pick them up. Nevertheless, they prevailed and were able to depart on time and arrive at JFK in record time, despite stopping over in Trinidad to pick up additional passengers. Marketing and Public Relations Manager Juanita Jagnarine vigorously defended the airline, saying it was beyond their control. She noted that all flights during the festive season were completely sold out, adding that it was a testament to passengers' confidence that the carrier is here to stay. With offices on Nostrand Avenue in Brooklyn and Richmond Hill, Queens, TravelSpan is positioned to airlift passengers twice weekly on Thursdays and Saturdays to Guyana and Wednesdays and Saturdays to Trinidad throughout the year. For the evening news, Natasha Aziz.
After several months of searching, the Ghana Elections Commission is yet to make a substantive decision on the appointment of a new Chief Elections Officer. GECOM's chairman, Dr. Steve Searchbally, told the Evening News on Tuesday that the commissioners are expected to resume work on January 21, where they will discuss in more details the appointment of a new Chief Elections Officer. Dr. Searchbally had said that the current team of GECOM officials is doing the job in the meantime. Calvin Ben and his assistant Keith Lowenfield are among 14 persons who applied to become GECOM's Chief Elections Officer. Both of them have served GECOM for a number of years in senior capacities. The post of Chief Elections Officer became vacant after GECOM declined to renew the contract of Gokul Budu after concerns were raised in the opposition camp about a computing mistake made in the allocation of seats in the 2011 elections. More news still ahead. Welcome back. You're watching the Evening News. Presidential advisor Odinga Labumba said if Ghana is going to continue to have high-end concerts, certain things will have to be put in place, such as proper facilities and improved parking space. The details in this report.
In referring to the recent concert, The Night of Love, held at the Guyana National Stadium, Lumumba noted that lighting, sound as well as security was good, but will need to improve in many areas. He also stated that a level of entertainment tourism is being created within the country with the hosting of shows of this nature. He explained that future concerts will not only put Guyana on the international map, but will also change the image of the country.
When millions of people begin to hear about Guyana and see Guyana, there is another view about Guyana other than Jonestown that millions will see. John Legend was able to tell his 20 million fans about how he enjoyed Guyana. No, you can't pay for that level of tourism anywhere for that cost. When a major artist says good things about a country worldwide.
Lumumba believes that there is a linkage between positive things and economic development, and Guyanese have to work together to develop the country. Meanwhile, head of the Presidential Secretariat, Dr. Roger Luncheon, said that Cabinet has grasped the successfulness of the recently held Night of Love concert.
Cabinet embraced the strategy for promoting tourism and developing tourism in Guyana. And what you're seeing, some might feel it is just isolated, not knowing, of course, the tremendous amount of work that has been put in by Minister Ali and his team in the tourism sector and in the government sector, Ministry of Tourism, Industry and Commerce, into making these steps realize what they have realized so far.
Anara Khan reporting for the Evening News.
A dredge owner appeared in the Georgetown Magistrates Court today before Chief Magistrate Priyasunaran Bihari, charged for discharging his firearm with intent to cause grievous bodily harm. Carl Coachman pleaded not guilty to the charge, which alleged that on December 21, 2013, he fired 2 rounds at Jared Hamilton, a former employee of Coachman. According to reports, Hamilton had seen Coachman early in the day and had approached him inquiring about some monies owed to him. An argument had subsequently ensued between the two and Hamilton left. Subsequently, on the same day, the defendant saw Hamilton and dealt him a blow to the head with his firearm. He then fired 2 rounds in the direction of Hamilton. A report was made to the police and Coachman was arrested. Appearing on behalf of the defendant, Attorney George Thomas asked for bail to be granted in a reasonable amount. This was granted in the amount of $150,000 with the condition that the defendant report to the Brickdam police station on a specific time. He is to return to court on February 7, 2014. Author James Seymour has been known as one of the most prominent personalities in Guyanese literature and has contributed significantly to the development of both Guyanese and West Indian poetry and will be remembered on Sunday, which marks his 100th birth anniversary. Natasha Aziz tells us more.
A.J. Seymour is acknowledged as someone who has made a sizable contribution to the development of Caribbean poetry. The Evening News spoke with several prominent Guyanese writers who reflected on the impact of Seymour's contribution over the years.
As a poet, he has made a contribution because of the fact of when he was writing. The early part, the first half of the 20th century, the middle part of the 20th century, when West Indian poetry was developing and making its impact on the world. Seymour was one of those who were writing at that time when local writers of poetry at that time were really extremely important and really making some kind of inroads into the development of the literature.
One of his best poems, A.J. Seymour's poem, is Border Market, where he expressed his love for the Guyanese color, the Guyanese fruits, everything Guyanese. He also wrote poems that dealt with our oral alphabet. He paid keen attention to oral traditions and the history of our ancestry.
I've known him to be a poet, an anthologist, most prolific anthologist of Guyanese literature, a literary enabler, a broadcaster, and so many other things. But having said that, we should not take away the other important parts of A.J. Seymour's life, which are his religious belief and his family.
The poet looms large in Guyanese and Caribbean literature because of the vital contributions he made in the actual development of the literature as an editor, anthologist, commentator, and a poet. The artists all shared similar views and applauded the writer's significant contributions towards the development of poetry in Guyana and the Caribbean. The National Library, in collaboration with Francis Kwame Faria and the University of Guyana, will be hosting a concert and exhibition to commemorate the life and work of A.J. Seymour, late Guyanese poet, on Sunday, January 12, 2014 at the Theatre Guild from 19 hours. An exhibition highlighting the poet's work will be on showcase in the foyer of the Theatre Guild on the 12th and subsequently in the lobby of the main wing of the National Library, commencing on Monday, January 13, 2014. Tickets are available at the National Library and the Theatre Guild at a cost of $1,000 and $2,000. For the Evening News, Natasha Aziz.
Join us after these messages for your sport news, sponsored by Macor. Welcome back, and now for a look at sport in your headlines. Edwards and Snow lead Windies to Series 11 win. Pro-Am boxing resumes on January 26, and Jamaican sprinter denies being drugs cheat. Kirk Edwards hit his maiden ODI 100 and Dwayne Bravo his second as West Indies crushed New Zealand by 203 runs in the fifth and final ODI to draw the series 2 games each. Edwards was unbeaten on 123 while Bravo scored 106, highlighting a superior all-round performance by the Caribbean side to climax the series on a high at Seton Park in Hamilton on Wednesday. Opener Kieran Powell set the Windies off to a flying start by racing to a 44-ball 73 and setting the tone for a total of 363 for 4, the West Indies' highest in ODI history. The Black Caps had no answer to an outfit on fire and imploded for 160 in 29.5 overs, with Nikita Miller claiming 4 for 45. The two teams will now switch focus to a two-match 2020 series starting in Auckland on Saturday. The Ghana Boxing Board of Control, GBBC, in collaboration with the Ghana Boxing Association, GBA, will stage the first Pro-Am boxing card of 2014 on January 26 at the Cliff Anderson Sports Hall. Dubbed Ghana Friday Night Fights, the card will feature 4 professional bouts and a similar number of amateur fights, with action set to get on the way at 20 hours. Earlier this week, the GBBC matchmaker Eon Jardine released the names of the 8 professional boxers who will appear on the card, which he said will be the catalyst for the rest of the year. In the feature fight, the evergreen Howard Eastman will challenge fellow Berbetian Derek Richmond for the super middleweight title of Ghana in a 12-round contest. Olympic sprinter Sharon Simpson has told the Jamaican disciplinary panel that she was not a cheat and never intentionally took a banned substance. The 4x100-meter relay silver medalist in London blamed a positive drugs test on a supplement provided by her trainer. She was one of 5 Jamaicans to test positive at the National Championships in Kingston last June. Simpson and her training partner, former 100-meter world record holder Asafa Powell, tested positive for the stimulant oxylofrene. Do remember that these and other stories can be read in tomorrow's edition of the Ghana Times newspaper, which can be purchased from vendors across the country. When you're not reading our newspaper or watching TVG Channel 28, do also remember to tune in to RGI on 89.3, 89.5 or 89.7 FM. Your Brit reports are next. Welcome back, and now for a look at your bridge reports. The Denver Harbour Bridge will be closed at 4 hours for a period of 1.5 hours, and the Berbice River Bridge will be closed at 10 hours 50 for a period of 1.5 hours on Thursday, January 9, 2014. And that's your Wednesday, January 8, 2014 edition of the Evening News. I'm Samuel Suknandan. Thanks for joining us.